If the same unwanted pattern keeps replaying in your life, this video is for you. Maybe it's about relationships, and no matter who you attract, no matter what you do, you keep getting the same end result. Maybe it's about an amount of money, and no matter what new job you get, no matter what opportunity you get, you're only able to barely make it. It seems that no matter what effort you put in or what new techniques you try, nothing shifts you out of that pattern. The good news is this video is going to help you uncover why that's happening, but most importantly, this video is going to show you how you can break out of that old pattern. I know this because this is what I have done in my life. I kept getting the same repeated pattern in my romantic relationships: emotionally unavailable people, a lot of rejection and abandonment. And it wasn't until I understood what was really going on that I could actually start making a change to something new. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that. I'm going to show you 3 steps that you can take to do exactly what I did in your life and break out of that old pattern. I'm going to be sharing with you practical examples so that you can easily understand and apply this to your life. So let's get started. So the example I'm going to give is relationships, because that's where I learned. And we're going to use the example of hot and cold energy, on and off. So maybe you meet a person and you have a crush on them, you like them, or maybe you're in a relationship with this person. You send out texts, you call, and they send it back, and it feels good. You got the warm fuzzies and everything's awesome. And you send more text and then they don't. And then you send maybe some more text, maybe you call and they're not available. Maybe you had plans and they canceled. Then all of a sudden it's okay and they send some text back, and then you send text back, and then all of a sudden they're gone again. You might start thinking, am I asking for too much for the consistency? Maybe for them to call me or text me as much as they were. It was going good, but now I'm confused because now they don't want to do it. One of the ideas that you could think is maybe I'm too much. You might start worrying, maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe I'm not attractive enough. Maybe they met somebody else and they're spending their energy with them, and that's why they're so on and off. But regardless, it continues to be good, and then it's bad. It's on, and then it's off. You can't seem to understand what it is that you're doing that's creating this. It makes you feel powerless because this person, maybe they don't even communicate what's going on. Maybe you do ask them. Maybe you're afraid if you ask them, it's going to make it worse. But you feel that the consistency is outside of your control, that this person holds the key to the consistency. And if you could figure out what you're doing wrong, or maybe what you lacked, you could do better, and then they would maintain that consistency. And realize this also, believe it or not, could be money. This is just an energy, this on and off. It's there, and then it's not. And you don't feel that you have any sort of ability to maintain the connection. And that's really important, that you feel powerless to maintain the connection and consistency that makes you feel safe and makes you feel good. So again, if this is money, this could look like the job is providing, and then something out of nowhere happens, and then your money's taken away. Or maybe bills come out of nowhere when you do have some money, and then it takes it away. And sometimes it feels okay, but there's an inconsistency and kind of a roller coaster pattern. So where does this pattern come from? We're going to take a trip way back to wee little you. And we've got to look at your early on models for relationships. Again, this is relationships with everything. Your relationships, your environment early on is what has shaped your synaptic connections. And remember, you don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain. And your feelings are the magnetic part. So you're only able to see what was first modeled and attract to you what is familiar. Now, this is not a doomsday. This is good, because when you're aware of it, you can actually start stepping out of the old program. So the first part you got to really understand is where this is coming from. This might have looked like an adult in your life at the time. Maybe they had great intentions, maybe very affectionate, they were very loving, supportive to you, and then you had this energetic exchange and you felt connected and you felt safe. But maybe also in your adult caretaker's life, they had a lot of work. Maybe they had a lot of demands in their job. Maybe on top of that, they also had a lot of family issues. But they didn't share it with you, obviously, because you were a kid. And realize, too, you do not. I did not. No one has the ability to reason because our brain hasn't developed that yet. We're actually only an alpha brainwave, very imaginative, kind of in la-la land, which is good. That's what we're supposed to do. What happens with our caretakers, sometimes they get maxed out. Sometimes they're overwhelmed and they have nothing. And maybe they get short. Maybe you go and you do the same thing you did before, but they're not available. And maybe they actually snap at you. That's enough. This is too much. Why are you so loud? You're always asking for something from me. Why? And you're like, oh my God, I must be too much. When I go to connect, it's overwhelming to that adult, and realize there's a hierarchy. This person knows better than you in your mind because their competency, your survival depends on it. So even though that's a physical thing of survival, it also emotionally, they must know better. Even if this person is emotionally, they don't have the capacity, they're emotionally immature, it doesn't matter. At the time, you have to bet that they know better. So even though they might not have the tools and they're actually lacking, you're going to take it as something you're doing because of the hierarchy, that they're above you. So I must be too much. Or, okay, well, sometimes I'm doing it and it's okay, they give back, and then other times they're not available. So I must be doing something wrong. What is that? And if you can start to understand, this is the same exact pattern that's repeating. I must be too much. My needs are too much. I'm asking for too much. Oh, it must be something I lack on why they're not able to meet me in the way that I need. Well, realize it's not because that's true. It's because this is the lens that you grew up in. This is the model. And this is not a doomsday. You can get out of this, but you first got to start understanding the pattern. So, okay, it must be me. I'm not good enough. If I was good enough, then they would be connecting with me. But since they're not connecting with me, it must be me. So what you got to understand is this was a little kid. This is how you saw this through your little kid eyes. You were innocent. You were naive. That was how you were supposed to be. You were emotionally available. You possess the emotional capacity to connect. If you can start to see that the lack here was actually with the adult. We're not saying they're bad. We're not blaming them. You might have some disappointment, anger, frustration. That's okay. You got to process it. Get real with it. Allow it to come up and be seen. But if you can look back at this situation and relate differently to why this happened, this had nothing to do with you. This had to do with them. You didn't understand it at the time, so you took it as yours. You can give that back. And it doesn't have to be from a mean place. It can be from love. Oh my gosh, all this time, I thought that the reason they weren't emotionally available to me was because of me. Whoa. They were actually really overwhelmed. They didn't have a lot of emotional space, and they didn't invest into the tools. Maybe they didn't know how to get help. Maybe they didn't know any better, and they did the best they could. That's fair. That we're all doing the best we can. But how can you see the situation different? Then you can start recognizing that this is just repeating that old pattern, meaning you're trying to resolve the past through this relationship and you don't have to do it. And it doesn't mean that you can't have a relationship with this person. So the second thing you're going to need to do is create a vision for what you do need. I am worthy of giving and receiving. Starting to understand that you've always been worthy, you've always been enough, and letting go of the idea that that early on experience had anything to do with you or what you lacked. You really got to understand what your needs are. Now, if you came from a very inconsistent home or inconsistent early on relationship, consistency could be a really big need for you, understandably so. It could also be about reliability. It could be integrity. What is it that you need from another person in order to feel safe and secure? Now, you're not looking to depend on this person to feel safe and secure, but what can this person do? What kind of actions help you feel that, amplify that? First, you've got to feel it in yourself. First, you got to realize that you are not dependent on anyone outside of you to feel safe and to feel secure. Once you establish that inside of you, you can mentally start rehearsing it, start to practice those feelings in your body, and then say, okay, What do I need somebody else, a friendship, a relationship? What can they do? For me, it's about consistency. For me, it's about early on with my girlfriend having a weekly dinner and where we went for a walk, because that helped me feel secure, that I had a space and a place in her life, and that helped me feel more secure, and we could build trust. Now, for you, it could look different. For you, it could be about integrity, that somebody says and behaves in the same way. They don't make all these promises, and then when it comes to actually having that interaction, they're too busy or they're unavailable or you're asking for too much. So if you can start to really deep dive and get some more awareness of yourself, this can really help you to understand and start to ask for your needs to be met, as well as understand yourself more to keep yourself safe. Which brings us to the third thing that you can do to break those old patterns, is to start to become present in the moment. So maybe you're having this interaction and they're coming back over here and everything's good, and then you're putting out energy and then nothing happens. This is where you start to become aware. Okay, I'm starting to tell myself the story that I'm not good enough. Okay, and remember that it's from those old patterns early on. Okay, I'm going to breathe, which is going to help to regulate your nervous system so that you don't respond from 7-year-old you. You maintain your present mind and stay in your body and breathe through it. There's all sorts of different breathing modalities you can do. Simply breathing and becoming aware is huge. And then you can make a new choice. Okay, the story I'm telling myself is that they're not interested. They found somebody else that's better than me. Oh, I can see right there. I'm rejecting myself. No, I'm going to stay with me. I know I'm good enough. I know I'm beautiful. I know I have so much to offer. I don't know why they've gone ghosting on me right now. I know that if I stay with myself, I'm going to take this energy, which is going to start to spiral, and say, okay, maybe I'm going to go look at them on social media. I'm going to text them more. Maybe I'm going to go drop something off on their apartment so that I can, just be nice. But really, you're looking for validation or a sense of connection. Because of their lack of energy, you're willing to go over the top. But to bringing that energy back and saying, okay, how can I take care of myself right now? How can I reduce my anxiety? I'm starting to self-abandon. I know I got to stay with myself. How can I create something, take care of myself emotionally? Maybe it's going for a walk. Maybe it's sitting down and doing somatic breath work. Maybe it's about meditating. Maybe it's about reaching out to a friend and asking for some support. Hey, I'm kind of in a trigger moment right now, and I'd really like some support. It's not about suppressing, denying, or staying persistent that this person loves and adores you no matter what at all costs, because your energy is not with you. Your energy is based and dependent on them saying yes to you so you feel okay. So my suggestion to you is to drop all that and to keep the energy with you, because whoever you're being, if you're being consistent and reliable with yourself, finding yourself worthy of love and devotion and your attention, you're going to get a reflection of that in somebody who's emotionally available to you. So it could look like that person, maybe they're not actually emotionally available, and that's actually for your betterment, because that makes space for somebody who is. Or maybe that person is having a meltdown emotionally and they're dealing with their childhood stuff. But you can talk to them. Hey, I've noticed some inconsistency, and it's really important for me to have more consistency. What does that look like and feel like for you? You're not asking them to then go all the way over to make you feel safe. But again, you being able to feel safe and secure and see how you can communicate with the other person. It's not about trying to manipulate this person or force this person or mentally be way over here to try to hyperfixate that's going to make you feel better. It's learning how to realize this had nothing to do with you. The more you start to do that, the more you start to take your authority, the more you start to take your sovereignty, and the more you start to take control over your life, which is going to put you in a different energetic, which is going to break you free of the past energy so that you can open up space to create the reality and the life that you really want. If you find yourself feeling needy, this next video right here is going to help show you how to break out of that. Thank y'all so much for watching. I love y'all. If you like this video, click like. If you haven't done so already, join the community, and I will see you on the next one.